Welcome back to Not So Grand Garage. Tonight we're out in the shop working on the old 300 SD here. It's due for service and it laid down on me the other day, and I think it has plugged the fuel filters up, which is kind of strange. But after installing that flat plate heat exchanger, this unit was used. It was actually on my 75 240D, which I pulled it off and put it directly on here, and that car had been sitting for probably 5 or 6 years, and there's no telling if there was any sludge or anything in that heat exchanger, which I kind of think is what happened. So we're gonna go on and service it out, change fuel filters out, and we might get around to bumping timing up tonight. So we'll see. Let's get started. Just got our parts in from FCP Euro, and we got all of our fuel filters, oil filters. Also picked up a new Mercedes OEM oil cap seal, because ours likes to leak around here every so often. But yeah, I think first up we're gonna go on and put fuel filters on it, get the fuel system reprimed, and we'll let it warm up a little bit and service it out, change the oil out. But I like to let them warm up a little, that way we get the oil a little thinner and it drains a little faster. So let's get at it. The primary fuel filter is the little plastic guy tucked down in here, so we're going to pull it off first. I've got some Bosch replacements to put in place. It's pretty well just a pre-screen, there's not much to it. And then the spin on. I had wicks, but I could not find any wicks in stock anywhere, so I went with MAN, which is what I'm running for an oil filter in this thing right now. Haven't had any issues out of them, and they seem to be a go-to for these, so we'll use them. Anytime you change the fuel filters on one of these, it is wise to take some plastic, come down in here, bring you over here, come down in here and cover up your motor mounts, because the diesel fuel will eat them, and I'm sure the oil blend that we run won't do them any favors either. So keeping the fuel off your motor mounts will help them last a lot longer, especially if they're cheaper aftermarket ones. But yeah, cover your motor mounts up. I noticed the other day also that I'm getting a little bit of oil and stuff on top of this canister, and I noticed that my hose clamp was stripped out, so I'm going to change that out while I'm at it. But we'll get that primary filter off of there and get it changed out first. I do have a drain pan underneath the engine on this side to catch most of this, because once it starts running, it sometimes will siphon and it will keep pulling from the tank. So be ready for that. Have a catch container handy, have your filter ready to go, ready to swap over as soon as you get it pulled loose, and that'll help eliminate as much of a mess as possible. These clamps don't have to be super tight. Usually I'll just snug them down until I can't twist the fuel hose on the filter barb anymore, and that's plenty. Now I like to go ahead and check the other hose clamps while I'm at it. Make sure we don't have any that are loose. Also, something I just happened to notice, this is a Wix filter that's on the car now, but it's also got a man label right on the side. See if I can spin this off without making too much of a mess, because I want to dump this filter out on camera and see see how thin the fuel is when it's cold. Well, I say cold, but it's about 75 degrees right now. Car's been in the garage all night. Okay. Bring you guys over here. As you can tell, this isn't super thick. This filter's definitely got weight to it. And this is the first filter I put on this car since getting it running. I haven't serviced the fuel system since, which, keep in mind, this car was ran on veggie oil prior to me getting it. Had the whole fuel system plugged up with solidified veggie oil. So I had flushed all the fuel lines and manually cleaned the tank out, but that's not to say that that filter didn't catch a whole bunch of junk from the old veggie system. But yeah, we'll get the filter swapped out, get the system reprimed, and get it started back up, see if I've regained any throttle response, and then we'll go on and let it warm up a little bit, change the oil in it. Then we'll see about bumping the timing up a little bit. Just a little bit on the hazy side. But yeah, definitely need to figure that out. Might end up even draining the fuel tank and running it for a few weeks on straight diesel fuel. I hate to do it, but the haze is getting a bit excessive. But, we are going to tinker with timing. I'm letting it run. Throttle response seems to be all right, but won't really know until I get it out on the road. I'm gonna let it warm up a little bit and dump its oil out, change the filter, and go from there. Now, the little washers that come with the oil filter are replacements for the one on the drain plug. So just match up whichever one best fits your drain plug, which I believe I used the copper one. Yep. And back in it goes. Well, it's a little bit later now. Had a little bit of running to do after servicing the car out. But I did go in and bump the injection timing up, and I'll give you a quick rundown of how I did that. Let's see here. Get a little light on this situation. You can see, sort of, I'll get you down in there a little bit. There is a nut down there on the injection pump mounting flange. There's one back there, and there's one on the bottom side of the pump. Loosen all three of those nuts, take the injection lines loose, take them off, and there's a bracket on the back side of the pump. Mine, that bracket doesn't exist. The previous owner misplaced that bracket apparently on one of the multiple injection pump changes, just never put it back. So it makes his job easier, but I'm sure eventually it's going to cause problems. But anyways, you loosen those three nuts, and to advance the timing on this, we push the top of the pump towards the head. I had made hash marks on the pump cover down where the flanges meet to indicate where I had timing set originally, and I bumped it basically a dime's width. Not much, but enough to be noticeable. Tightened everything back down. Haze does appear to be a little bit better, and there's a little bit more rattle back to it. Not quite like it does on diesel, but we'll just have to kind of see how it plays out. But its power is back since changing the fuel filters out. So yes, I had plugged the fuel filter up. I'm assuming my heat exchanger had some junk in it, or there was some leftover waste veggie stuff, sludge or what have you in the tank and lines that eventually plugged the filter up. But yeah, it's back to running fine. It's still hazing pretty good, so I'm gonna run this tank down and fill it up with diesel fuel and clean it out here maybe in the next couple weeks. I've got the tools now to pull the pre-cups, so I might get some pre-cup seals in and pull the injectors, pull the glow plugs, pull the pre-cups out and clean them. I think this engine's got at least 400,000 miles on it, if not more. The odometer died at 210, and that was 15 plus years ago. The previous owner was driving it 50 plus miles a day, and the odometer didn't work the entire time he had it. He had it for 13-ish years, driving it every day. So I've been driving it quite a bit as well. This motor's got some mileage on it. It's got pretty minimal blow-by, but it is tired. I know compression's low on it. It was low on it when I got it, but it still runs, so you know, it is what it is. But yeah, so as far as this little project goes, we're gonna call it here. We do have a few more things to tinker with on it. I'll let you know how the timing change has helped or hurt here in the next couple days. I am going to put some winter blend washer fluid in the tank over there instead of water. Give it a little methanol and see what that does. But yeah, I think we will call it off there. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. We appreciate you watching.